Hi, this is Paul Roscoe from Okmulgee News Network, and I have the distinct pleasure this afternoon to talk to our U.S. Senator, Mr. James Inhofe. Mr. Inhofe, welcome to Okmulgee.
It's great to be with you. I come down quite often because people know I'm active in aviation. You have Covington, you have a lot of activity going on right here in Okmulgee.
Yeah, this airport is kind of a jewel hidden.
It really is, and you'd be surprised how many people will come down. They become familiar with this. Half the people that are up there training in Riverside Airport do their work down here, so it's a big help.
Good. And what would you like to say to the people of Okmulgee?
Well, right now, and I think it's the fact that we're doing this, the way that we're doing it is something that's kind of new. There are a few others that are doing the same way. One is the Oklahoman does this in Washington, where you talk about things that are current. Things change so rapidly. Let me just mention two things that I'm involved in that affect everyone who's watching us right now. First of all, I'm what they call the ranking member of a committee called the Senate Armed Services Committee. Now, that is our military and what's going on. And not many people realize, they should realize it now with what's going on in Ukraine, that Obama has just disarmed America. I know that people don't believe it. And in fact, I carry a card with me so that people don't think it's just me saying it. The top military guy in America is General Dempsey. He's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he said, and this is his quote, "Force is so degraded," he's talking about us, "and so unready that it would be immoral to use force." In other words, we're not like the superpower we were at one time. And that's the reason that you're getting Putin over there in Russia trying to undo all the stuff that Ronald Reagan did back in the 80s. That's a very, very significant thing because it shows the world that we're in is so much more dangerous, Paul, because now every little country like North Korea, like Iran, they have nuclear capabilities and they have a delivery system, and they could actually hit the United States of America, but nobody knows it. And that they don't worry about it, but I know it because that's one of the things I do. The other thing is, we have the opportunity in Oklahoma and in the United States of being completely independent from any other country in terms of oil and gas energy. Fossil fuels, that's coal, oil, and gas. The President Obama has had a war on fossil fuels. His reasoning is that a lot of the environmentalists think we should not be using fossil fuels, that it emits CO2 and global warming and all that stuff. But right now we're dependent upon fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas, for 75% of the energy that we develop. And, what do we do without it? That's why I hear all over Oklahoma. And I said, well, I have a schedule. You'll enjoy this. Every fifth weekend I go to Afghanistan or Africa or someplace over there in one of the hot spots. And the other 4 weekends, I'm here in Oklahoma. So every week, all 4 out of 5 weekends, I'm back and get in a little airplane and fly around the state. And so I do that more for my sanity than I do to help Paul. Because, if you hang around Washington, there aren't any normal people in Washington. So I take my time away from there on 4 out of 5 weekends. So anyway, people will ask the question. The reason I bring that up, they'll say, "Now wait a minute. If we're using, we have to use fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas for 75% of our fuel, and Obama's trying to do away with all coal, oil, and gas. How do you run the country?" Well, you can't do it. But that's the mentality we have in Washington. So that's that and the overregulation. Those are the things I concentrate in.
And you say you travel around the world. You're visiting our troops. How is the morale of the troops?
This will surprise you, Paul. Even though they all know what's happening to our military, those who are forward based, and there are a lot of them right here, families of people in Okmulgee, and they'll tell you this, that their kids that are over there, they are doing very well. They realize that how important their function is. They know how dangerous the world is, and they are pretty well taken care of. They're very, very strongly in favor of what we have been doing in this country and opposed to what they're trying to do in disarming America. Now, the problem is not the ones who are full. The ones, if I go into Afghanistan, I'll sit down at a mess hall with a bunch of the kids, and they're all just doing fine. But the ones back home that are training to replace them, This is the problem, because they are not able to to fund the training for anyone except those that are forward deployed. So it's a real hardship. It's a difficult thing to deal with, and this is all going to change. It shouldn't be partisan, but quite frankly, it is. The Republicans are much stronger on defense than Democrats are, and one of the things that I'll say, you heard it here first, is the Republicans, while we are a minority in the United States Senate today, will be a majority after the November election. Of that, I'm very certain.
Okay. One more question. The Keystone Pipeline, do you think we'll see a result of
See,
it?
one of the things, when I mentioned that Obama is against the fossil fuel, that's their crown jewel. They want to stop the Keystone Pipeline, and there's no reason for it, because this is stuff that is drilled up in Alberta. This is in Canada, and they're going to do it whether or not we're the ones who end up purchasing the fuel. And China is just chomping at the bit to get it. So they're going to continue to be drilling up there. It's a matter, do we get it or does China get it? And you stop and think about the number of jobs, particularly in Oklahoma. We're the crossroads of the Keystone Pipeline. And you know, people know that when we're talking about it in Washington, so they expect me to be very active in trying to get that pipeline through. We're right in the middle. It comes in from the north, goes out to the south, and it ends up down in mostly in Texas. And then we can be and we could be a major exporter of liquefied natural gas. And it's all, you know, this is what we need to be doing in this country.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
My pleasure talking to you.
Well, Paul, thank you for being advanced. You guys are doing things other people aren't doing, but they're starting to do it different places, and so I like it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.